Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking some more about Valorant's anti-cheat, Vanguard. There's been something I think I should bring to everyone's attention and kind of focus on that's gone a little bit under the radar, hasn't been talked about as much as I think it should. But just before we get into that, I do want to give an update generally about a recent patch because they have made some significant changes to Vanguard. It's an ongoing project, as we know. Valorant is still in the closed beta stage, and while my biggest bone of contention has been the anti-cheat and how it doesn't seem to be as revolutionary as it was portrayed to be in the build-up and how intrusive it potentially is, I can still see that there is a willingness from the Riot Games staff to keep working on it and get it into a position of readiness before it does come rumbling out of closed beta. So they have done an update. You may recall I did a video talking about how it was blocking software on your PC, in particular CPU temperature monitoring software, large amounts of it. If you go look at that video on the channel, I've pinned dozens of comments from people who've experienced similar things, other types of software. It's clear that there was an issue there, and the biggest part of it was they were basically turning these programs off without telling you they were doing it, which you should have an issue with people, tampering with your PC in that way. Even if it's for the positive purposes of preventing cheaters in Valorant. This has since been updated. They since changed it. I'll be able to get into that now. This is from a website called win.gg. They encapsulate it pretty well. You can see Riot releases new fix for Vanguard's aggressive driver blocking is the headline. This was on the 7th, so a few days ago at the time of recording this. Riot Games released a patch for Valorant's anti-cheat Vanguard, which the developer says will stop the program from blocking essential drivers. The fix comes nearly a week after Win.g's report that Riot's anti-cheat system was actively blocking the drivers that controlled cooling systems for PC hardware from a variety of manufacturers. The fix targets a program called CPU-Z, a hardware monitoring tool included with many active cooling systems from manufacturers like Corsair and NZXT. Don't think that A should have been there, but I didn't write it, so whatever. The program packed into the drivers of aftermarket hardware coolers was recently found to have a security vulnerability that hackers could use to cheat in online play. When Vanguard was updated in the second week of Valorant's open beta, users started to notice that Vanguard had blocked the CPU-Z hardware utility. In an hour, we're shipping a hotfix for Vanguard to up its compatibility with cheat-vulnerable drivers. Most of the previously blocked drivers should now work. Some egregious ones will cause the game not to start, but now very few will be blocked outright. Thanks for the feedback. That's from Valorant's official Twitter. Now, since the fix has been rolled out, there have been a few issues. This is what was happening initially. If you were getting any warning whatsoever, this is a warning that would pop up. Not everybody was getting this. I don't know if this was something they patched in prior to it, but certainly my CPU monitoring temperature software was turned off. I didn't get any indication as to why that was happening. Some people said they did. So maybe it's the type of software, maybe it's your type of PC, maybe it's just hit and miss, random chance. You can see there, this is the error message that you would get as a pop-up if you were affected. But now, since they've rolled this fix out, people who use CPU-Z have been getting this. Stop me if this is familiar. Vanguard not initialized. Vanguard anti-cheat has not been initialized. If this is your first time playing, you will need to reboot your computer to continue. If you see this message frequently, you may need to update your drivers. And people have been complaining online, on Twitter, on Reddit about this for a variety of different softwares, not just CPU-Z, although that seems to be the biggest one affected. So they're not getting a pop-up saying, turn off this specific driver. They're saying Vanguard isn't initialized. That isn't necessarily 100% accurate, but I suppose all things considered, it's an improvement. Now, I just wanted to keep you apprised of that because I think it's important to, keep my channel with the most up-to-date and relevant information possible. People already accused me of selectively choosing by reporting on a story that was like 1 day out of date, if such a thing is true, by the time my video was published. So with those comments in mind, the record now stands corrected, I hope. But anyway, let's get on to what I want to talk about today. There has been, and I just cannot fathom this, an admission, I guess, of sorts from the Valorant Vanguard anti-cheat team, they basically have described it as, quote, a meatless skeleton. A meatless skeleton that they're going to update as it goes on. And this is blown my mind, because that isn't how it was described in the build-up. I'm going to refresh everyone's memory as to how they were talking about in the build-up. We were being told this was something special. This was something, that was going to be a game changer. What they've actually said now in a blog, which I'll show you, is that this is a meatless skeleton that is going to be updated during the closed beta process. We're nowhere near the finished version in the closed beta. So all of those cheaters that are out there now, that I've brought your attention to in previous videos, it does have a cheating problem at the moment, Valorant. The software, by Riot's own admission, isn't going to be catching them yet. I don't know if their long-term plan is to use some of the data they're going to gather from the closed beta to actually make the anti-cheat the special thing they said it was. But I just want to refresh your memory about all the things they said. This is from GamePer. This was widely quoted by multiple sources, SteelSeries blog, I think PC Gamer might have quoted this article as well. You can see here, Riot Games are positioning Valorant, its new 5v5 competitive tactical shooter, to take on games like CSGO and Overwatch in the esports space, on top of providing 128 tick servers and a vast server network to try and guarantee the lowest possible pings for players. They are also taking the game's anti-cheat measures extremely seriously. Riot is taking a three-pronged approach to anti-cheat in Valorant, using the below measures to try and ensure a fair gaming experience for players. In-engine wall-hack resistant Fog of War. They talked about the Fog of War a ton in the build-up to this. Valorant will employ what Riot is referring to as a Fog of War system that will omit player locations from the game data stored in memory until just before the line of sight contact. This means that wall hacks, which would traditionally trawl the game data for player position information and display it on users' screens via an overlay, will be unable to do so. Now, I've showed you footage of ESP's programs that actually, yeah, the Fog of War does function to a certain degree. If you're on the other side of the map, if you're in spawn, if you're on the opposite bomb site, it's not going to give you an exact location. It's just going to randomly say, yeah, they're somewhere over there, which in itself, by the way, would be a huge advantage on its own if Fog of War was functioning as intended. But I've shown you in the footage that what is actually happening is when they get within, to scale, 10 meters, 20 meters, the box around them works and it starts moving. So it hasn't conquered the wall hack problem, no more than the famous wall hack update in CSGO did. Yes, it reduces the amount of information you can get, but it still gives you an unparalleled advantage if you're cheating in that regard. Then it says server authoritative game architecture. That just means that matches will be server authoritative, which means that all game settings and parameter authorizations happen on the server side. So this will shut down, for example, speed hacks, because it just will not allow that value to be tampered with client side. Then you have proprietary cheat detection. Valorant will run two different forms of anti-tamper systems. The first is a system that was developed for League of Legends, and the second is a new anti-cheat system called Vanguard that will allow for what Riot refers to as a consistently evolving detection method. Vanguard will also allow Riot to ban cheats at the moment. That cheating is detected instantly, and they will not need to wait for a reporting system to point out instances of cheating. If you are playing in a game and a game detects cheating, the cheating player is banned. The game is ended, and it is immediately forgiven for all players in the game that were playing legitimately. This means you won't have to sit in a lobby with a cheat on the other team or yours for fear of a leaver penalty or taking a loss on your record. This is everything we currently know about the anti-cheat, blah, blah, blah. So I want you to remember all of that. This was the big PR offensive about how good Vanguard was going to be. And just while we do that, I'll also play you a clip from a streamer called Nicolan TV who interviewed the head of the Valorant anti-cheat program on his stream, and there he talked about the Fog of War and again how it was going to be impossible for wall hacks to work. Just listen to this.
Like optimized layers in the game so that wall hacking is almost impossible. Is that the Fog of War system you're talking about?
Yeah, so the Fog of War system withholds information from players until they need it to display the enemies. So your computer won't know where the enemy team is unless you need to display them on your screen.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
Okay, so you can see how they promoted the anti-cheat. That's fine. Let's just also bring your attention to a blog post from the Valorant anti-cheat team. Valorant anti-cheat, what, why, and how. And this is where they're talking about the why they made the anti-cheat, which we obviously know. I don't need to go into that. The what, which is what they're trying to accomplish with the Valorant anti-cheat. And again, I think that's pretty self-evident, so no need to go into that. So how can we achieve this? How do we think we can protect the game experience from cheats? It's fundamentally a defense in-depth approach. We first build the game to be as cheat-resistant as we can. With the Fog of War and server authoritative movement netcode. Next, we make the cost of developing cheats as prohibitive as possible, e.g. Vanguard and other anti-tamper measures. Finally, we detect, ban, and remove cheaters from the game as efficiently as possible using Vanguard cheat detection hardware bans, player reports, data analysis, and machine learning research. Yes, cheats are still possible in Valorant. There are already some examples out in the wild. Way to downplay the problem you've already got in a close beta. It's not some examples out in the wild. I know of now 40 private hacks for sale in Valorant, give or take one or two. And they're the ones that are just being freely advertised. Whatever. But this strategy makes those cheats much more difficult to develop and maintain. This in turn makes them more expensive to buy. Currently, by the way, those cheats I'm talking about retail for about $5. So this scheme isn't working as intended at the moment, by the way, which limits how many cheaters there are in the game. The smaller community of capable cheat developers also make their cheats easier to keep track of and enables us to take approaches such as legal avenues to keeping them out of our ecosystem. This leads us to the real big question. How do we know if we're winning, and what does success look like? Well, for me, this is a fairly obvious question to answer, isn't it? It's when you barely see a cheater in your game. To the point where even if someone was cheating, there are so rare instances of cheating, you would be inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt. You would go, well, it can't be a cheater. I never see cheaters. They must just be really good at the game. Unlike the system currently, which is there are so many cheaters, every time you come across a good player, you think, they might be cheating. That's what we got in CSGO right now, where everything is uncertain because we've got this abstract trust factor we don't really understand. And some people are getting paired with cheaters, and some people never see a cheater, and some people are just morons who aren't even equipped to detect whether someone's cheating or not, but they complain because they ran through a smoke and don't realize you stick out. You know, we got all sorts going on in CSGO, but then it's ruined trust. It's ruined, you know, even pros are accusing up-and-coming players of being cheats because we have this uncertainty. So that's what victory would look like to me, a world where even if somebody was cheating, cheating is so rare, you wouldn't even think that they were cheating. Anyway, there are lots of ways to measure success. Often we hear reports of X number of players banned. I don't think that's a great metric either, by the way. And game studios using internal metrics like percentage of players cheating or percentage of games impacted by cheating. While those numbers are useful indicators, they're of secondary importance to Valorant. Our anti-cheat for Valorant is designed to make sure players can trust the game. Okay, I'm with you so far, and have a positive experience while playing. So our primary success criteria is how well you think we're doing. We track the number of player reports, we ask players directly in surveys for their impressions, and we keep track of player sentiment on social media. Hello, Twitter. Wow. Wow. So the measure of success isn't the reality, it's the perception. And on top of that, it's just we're just going to do surveys. We're not interested in those hardcore statistics. I find that stupefying. I can't believe what I've heard. And this isn't even the big point about the video, but this is just to show you they are still, even as most recently as 3-4 days ago, saying that this is a sophisticated anti-cheat program. Well, then in the next blog, it was called. Let me just tell you what the title of this blog was. I've got it here. It's called Dev, Anti-Cheat in LoL and More, 9 Ways Anti-Cheat Can Make You Invincible. And there's a bit about Valorant down at the bottom. Valorant, listen, The FPS cheating scene is experienced, and we do not intend to underestimate their lack of desire to get good. When a tactical shooter becomes a certainty, we immediately deleted our Facebook accounts, locked ourselves in the basement, spent 40 months developing an anti-cheat platform to assist us in combating cheats for centuries to come. We're calling it Vanguard. It is shipping with Valorant, and I'm shipping them in the fandom I've just made up. We're using the closed beta as an opportunity to test our necromancy, and the version that is currently running is really just a meatless skeleton. Most features are purposefully disabled, both because we're not going to give out the secret sauce before we have a full cafeteria to serve, but also because our commitment to security means we're taking the time to validate the stability of our ingredients. With that in mind, Vanguard does have a driver component, but in the interest of compatibility, this may not be utilized on every title or League of Legends until deemed necessary. This is insane. You spent all that time promoting your anti-cheat as something special, something revolutionary, to just announce we haven't even really done it yet. It's not even fixed. We're not even going to roll it out. We've totally done it, but we're not going to show it to you or implement it in the closed beta. That's mind-boggling. I just, why on earth would you say this? So, turns out that if you're in closed beta and you're installing their rootkit / malware ultra-intrusive kernel access anti-cheat, it doesn't even fucking do anything by their own admission. What is the point in having it then? Why do I need to sign off on installing it? Why are people complaining about their laptops bricking because you shut down CPU monitoring software without telling them? Guys, this is ridiculous. A meatless skeleton. There's some other stuff in the blog post, but by the way, here you can see this stupefying approach of them saying, don't be scared of the anti-cheat software, by the way, because if we wanted to get your data, we'd just get it. The worst PR approach, I don't care if it's honest. It says here, right, and we've been on the internet recently, so we know there are privacy concerns with drivers, but let me be real straight with you. We're an anti-cheat team. We've been sneaking code into game clients for nearly a decade, and if we wanted secrets, we'd honestly already have them. I know that sounds like awful PR, but I'm not a PR guy. We only collect enough information to accurately determine if a player is cheating, and you can seriously trust in our complete lack of interest in anything else. Well, I don't know, guys, because you're telling me you can get all my shit, so why wouldn't you make an exception? Why anyone would ever say this, by the way, that we can totally get your data? Yeah, it's probably true. Yeah, I probably know it in the back of my mind on some level. But even joking and being frivolous about data protection law, when we just had the GDPR regulations brought in, it's insane. Not the way to play this game, in my opinion, Riot. But, you know, no one will call you out about it, so whatever, I guess. And then finally, down here, they also say, Arkham has been toiling away at server fog of war technology, putting designs in place that make sure game clients don't have access to information until they need it. Read up on how we're trying to remove psychics from first-person shooters by dampening ambient occult energy. You can go read that blog if you want. But the reason I included this bit is that is also an admission that the fog of war thing that they were hyping up, it's not there yet. It's not even in the closed beta. So you, if you're playing in the closed beta now, you have to have the negative experience because it's just not ready. We don't know if it ever will be ready, by the way. We don't know if they're ever going to get there, if they're ever going to be able to deliver what they promise. All we know, by their own admission, is they don't have it now. The promises they made in the build-up to the closed beta were now provable lies. They've said it. And you're installing this really aggressive anti-cheat that doesn't have the features they claimed it did. Now, if that doesn't blow your mind, then you probably should unsubscribe. You probably shouldn't follow my content, because I think that is quite possibly the most absurd and ridiculous thing I've heard of yet with this anti-cheat. I think this is a big story. I think it's a big deal. Obviously, it's why I'm making a video about it, to make you guys aware. If this wouldn't encourage you to uninstall Vanguard and not play Valorant until were out of early access, I don't know what else would. You must really enjoy the game. And that's fine, by the way. I'm not making a value judgment about that. But what I will say is Riot Games here have really bungled the whole approach in regards to the anti-cheat. They should have under-promised, over-delivered. They should have made it clear that in closed beta you weren't getting the full anti-cheat experience, and that therefore cheaters might be slipping through the cracks and you might not have a positive experience, and maybe you might want to hold off installing this intrusive piece of software until the finished product. I think they should have been clearer about that, and I think that so far my biggest criticism has just been this whole anti-cheat debacle. It's been ridiculous. So there you have it. It's a meatless skeleton, guys. I'm not a meatless skeleton. I've been getting fat on all the YouTube money I've been getting lately. Yes, we've got back to regular content. Yes, we've had a boost in subscribers. I want to thank you all. And of course, if you're new, please subscribe, drop a support comment in the video, thumbs up, thumbs down, tell me what you think, share your experiences, and let's get this YouTube channel back to the glory days. Thanks so much. I'll see you on the next video. Take care.